Welcome to the family and the Tom Bernard podcast with
co-host Catherine Brandt.
Andy Brandt Bernard.
And Kristen Bird.
So before we get started, I did check in. There were 2 tornadoes in Minnesota yesterday. They were down in southern Minnesota, just kind of along the border down there. So nothing ever hit the Twin Cities at all.
So is there?
Did
it hit any towns?
I saw a photo on Chris Eggert's Instagram saying that as daylight was coming, they were going to get a better grip on how bad the damage was, but it looked like there was some damage.
Oh,
I don't know where, though.
He's coming on later, so I'm sure he'll have the scoop.
He'll have the update.
But let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, damage reported in southeast Minnesota.
Southeast Minnesota. Ooh.
I was
in Faribault.
Yeah, I was watching the radar, and it was interesting because the big front was like south of the cities, and then there was another front north of the cities. It just made a little hole and went around the cities.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We were supposed to get a massive, insane storm. We didn't get one drop of rain.
You didn't get any rain?
We got rain yesterday morning, but like the storm, no. It didn't rain.
No wind, nothing?
It got windy, but then nothing happened.
Huh. Because Alex got a little wind. I saw a lot of people had almost golf ball size hail.
Really?
And I don't know where that was.
Happened.
I know. That's scary stuff.
Yeah. Because
And you didn't have any of it?
It can hurt you.
What, honey?
No, we didn't have anything.
Oh, I shouldn't call you honey on the show.
Why not? It's your son. You can call him honey if you want. Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. What's happening, sister?
Lots of things. We have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I had it for you guys yesterday, but we didn't get around to talking about it.
Okay.
I always like to hear like who gets inducted, who's voted in.
Sure.
And, it's I just feel like it's very political. When people just go, you're not your turn yet. It's your turn yet.
Right.
Yeah. So here are the people: Cyndi Lauper, The White Stripes, Chubby Checker, Outkast, Bad Company, Soundgarden, and Joe Cocker. And then 2 additional were voted on by the board. So they were kind of ushered in, which was Salt and Pepper and Warren Zevon.
Wow. Some of those I am shocked that they're not already in. Joe Cocker? I mean, my God, he's been around forever.
Joe Cocker, Bad Company, Outkast, and Chubby Checker. It was their first time being nominated and first time getting in.
Chubby Checker. I mean,
Chubby
come
Checker.
on. He should have been in there already.
Well, that was the 1959, 60 era, something like that?
Yeah, he basically changed music.
They did.
Mean, yeah.
I think that was about right. It was in the late 50s, early 60s, I think, wasn't it, for the Twist?
And then Twist again.
It was born in 41. Let's see. The Twist was 58.
58. So he was only 17 years old?
Apparently.
He was a baby.
What was that called?
He didn't write the Twist. He
No,
covered
he
it
didn't.
in 1960.
Oh, in 1960 he covered it. Okay.
Oh.
Who wrote the Twist?
Hank Ballard and the Midnighters.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. It's true.
Do you want to hear who didn't get in?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
They were
I
nominated. So Fish didn't get in. Oasis didn't get in. Mariah Carey for the second year in a row did not get in. Billy Idol, Joy Division, and New Order, and the Latin rock group Mana.
Never even heard of them.
No, but they're probably huge in the Latin music category.
Yeah.
Well, then win the Latin Music Award.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is like just the Music Hall of Fame is what it is.
It is a
now.
Music Hall of Fame. It's true. Yes, exactly. I used to have to deal with that all the time when I worked at Capitol Records, who was getting in and who wasn't getting in and that whole deal. And it's quite where is it again? Is it in Nashville? Not in Nashville.
It's in Cleveland.
Cleveland. That's where it
It's
is.
in Cleveland, Ohio, but they used to do the ceremony out in Cleveland, but I think they're finding it easier if they do it in New York or LA. So they're going to film the special November 8th at the Peacock Theater. If you have Disney Plus, you'll be able to watch the whole thing live. It's a long ceremony, by the way. And then it'll be available on Hulu the next day. And then they're going to edit it down and for an unannounced date on ABC.
Is there one gigantic personality that never did get in, maybe back in the Presley era or something, because Elvis Presley dominated so badly?
I'm sure there's 1,000 of them.
I would think so.
They're catching up on women. For a long time, women were not really ushered in or welcome the same way men were. So they're really catching up when it comes to some of the female musicians right
It
now.
also depends on your definition of rock and roll. Because I mean, like there were very few female rock and roll musicians for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what it started as. Now it's the
Right.
essentially
Now
the
it's-
Music Hall of Fame.
yeah.
So
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's very different. Like, I mean, like what would be like the name 3 really big female rock and roll musicians?
Pat Benatar,
Yeah, Benatar.
Yeah.
for
Joan
sure.
Jett,
Mhm.
and I would say, although some people might argue
Tina
in the music style,
Turner?
I was gonna be the Go-Go's.
Oh,
Oh,
These
Although
are
some
good, yeah.
people would categorize that as pop,
yeah.
That's the thing is, yeah, it was just like a male thing, rock and roll.
Yeah, the big hair band days and
the
all
Bangles?
that stuff.
Yeah.
You think they're rock
Maybe.
and roll?
I mean, a lot of people would say that if it's not a song about like, having sex while you're on a flaming motorcycle, it's not rock and roll.
And high. You have to be high too.
Yes, and also on cocaine.
and that's like metal. That was the hair band era.
Yeah,
hmm
it was.
How about the band that did "Bird is the Word"? Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. That was a huge hit.
And it was a
The other Andy in the chat says Joan Jett, Janis Joplin, and Pat Benatar.
Janis
Those are his
Joplin.
3.
Well, she's got to be in there already.
I would assume so.
You would
She has
think.
to be.
Heart,
Heart's a good one. I think Heart's a good
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Rosetta Tharpe,
That
whoever
was a good
that
one.
is. Sounds like
Yeah.
a nun to me. I'm guessing she's not.
What about love? Yeah, Heart was a good one.
Yeah, Heart's a good one.
And they play instruments too. Like they play guitar, like classic, like what you think of when you think of a rock band.
Every time you say the band Hard, I think of the time I was at the Capitol Records Tower way, way, way back. And one of the sisters from Hart came in because they were on Columbia, but then they came on Capitol, or I don't know how the whole thing worked. But I remember I was on the 8th floor hanging out with Bruce Wendell, who was the vice president of promotion for Capitol for a billion years, and also a bat boy for the, God, what was it again? Which team? He actually appeared at the World Series dressed in a uniform, and he was a vice president of Capitol Records.
Hart was with Capitol for a little while.
Yeah, they were. And and what year was that?
Oh God, they have been with many, many labels.
They have, yeah,
Let's
that's true.
see. Can I
Oh,
even
it doesn't
find
matter.
that? 85 to 90, it looks.
That would make sense.
That's a pretty big
1980.
era for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because 85, you and I were out there, weren't we? 86.
Maybe. Don't
Something like
remember. It's a while ago.
But I was on the 8th floor with Bruce Wendell, and one of the sisters from Hart came in, and she did this big speech about how I wanted to tell everybody that, I do realize that my weight has gotten a little too high to be a rock and roll star. So I want you to know I started just this morning on a new eating program, and I'm going to lose, I don't know how much, 35 pounds or whatever she's going to lose. And I'm really working hard on it. And I just wanted you to know you can support me because I'll get this done very quickly, and I'll be back in shape and, stepping on the stage with Hart and blah, blah, blah. So she leaves, and I'm talking to Bruce, and I look out the window and I see her get in the limousine. And then I see the limousine pull up to the window at Burger King.
Hey, maybe she's getting a salad.
She might have gotten a salad.
Yeah.
that's true.
Burger King used to be right around the corner from Capitol Records too.
Yeah,
and
right around the
no
corner,
longer
yep.
here,
Yeah.
no longer there. But
No, yeah, right. That's true.
and it's crazy though. Like the women had such pressure to be super
Oh, yeah.
skinny.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Belinda Carlisle got it, and you just
Mhm.
like and they're telling them they're fat, and I say this in air quotes, so just in case anyone's just
Right,
listening and
right.
watching, and you look at them and you're like, they looked great,
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
crazy.
You're absolutely right.
You were
was-
thinking of the Trash Men, by the way, for Surfing
Oh,
Bird.
they did the Surfing Bird, the trash
Mhm.
men from Minnesota.
Trash Men.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, the trash men from Minnesota. Yeah.
Huh.
We'll look it up. I'm almost certain.
All the best musicians. Yep. Origin, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
There you go. The trash men. Absolutely.
Trashmen and Prince.
Oh, there are a number of
What
bands
about
from
Bob
Minnesota.
Bob Dylan.
And what about someone else?
Yeah. What about someone else? Yes, very
It's got to
famous.
be somebody.
Lizzo, apparently? No way.
Who?
Apparently Lizzo is from Minnesota.
Really?
Oh, really?
I did not know that.
I don't believe you. Let's
You're not
see.
buying it.
She was born in Detroit, Michigan, so I mean
Mhm.
that's close.
She could have
but
done a stint
Upper
in
Midwest.
Minneapolis. Yeah.
yeah,
Close enough.
for college, she moved to Minneapolis and started her recording career there. So,
Well, Minneapolis was a big recording
Yeah,
area for
for
a
a
long
while.
time.
Mhm.
It was.
well, I
'cause
mean,
of-
this would have been like probably 10 years ago. So,
well,
Lizzo's
long
not
before.
that old.
Long before that, Minneapolis was one of the centers of record producing and shipping and all that. Music Land was there, and all those places are closed now because they don't sell records anymore. It's all
Nobody
digital.
goes out. Like
No.
the clubs don't exist. This is what I
Yeah.
find really interesting. Like the club scene doesn't exist. And, people are like, nothing good happens in a club, but there's something about being in your early 20s, once you're 21, like 21 to maybe like
Yeah.
25, going out and going dancing. They
Yeah,
don't do that
so
anymore.
fun. They don't
Yeah.
at all?
No.
What was going on in the Colorado club that just got raided? There was a huge raid in
Oh,
a
was there?
Oh,
Colorado
yeah.
Springs club, but I don't know what they were doing. I
Oh.
know there was a lot of drug stuff going
Well,
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
makes
usually
sense.
what happens when you go up. But yeah, like New York nightlife and LA nightlife, where the club scene was huge. Those just don't exist.
Just
You know,
gone now.
The kind of clubbing that sounds nice to me is have you heard of those silent raves?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do them all the time here.
Everyone wears these headphones and the music's coming from the headphones.
Yep.
So I would
Yeah,
go
they do
to one of
silent
those.
disco.
We
And
did a
then-
silent disco on New Year's Eve. It was fun.
I'd go to one of those, but I wouldn't put on the headphones.
That was it.
I'd just be in the corner sipping something like nice and quiet.
It is
Recorder.
it is funny to see people because we
Yeah.
were sort of at dinner and then they had the silent disco out in this area and all of a sudden all these people, they have their light sticks and they're jumping and yelling because the DJ's telling them to do stuff, but you can't
Mhm.
hear any of
Yeah.
that.
So it just looks like they're like all having a mass hallucination.
Yeah, it looks really funny. But then
It's
when you
good,
put the
wholesome
headphones
fun.
on, it is. And then when you put the headphones on, it's like, yeah, this is
I
great.
get it now.
Yeah, it is fun.
God, what a
And no
different
noise
era.
complaint from the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. So yeah, that was a great period. That whole situation. I was in the record business. I was in the record business and voiceover when I met you.
You sure were.
So I must have been about a 10, 12 year period when that whole thing, that was a lot of fun to do voiceover and work for a record company because you didn't have to work at all. All you did is show up and record something. And then you went across the street and said, "Hey, how's everything going with the Beatles? Good. Okay. Glad to hear it." It was not a very tough job.
And they go out to lunch on an expense account.
Oh yes. Absolutely.
I
Free
can't-
cars, free air travel, free everything.
I can't believe people don't go out dancing anymore. So what do they do? What are they doing? You're
I
near
don't know.
21, 22. What are you
Gen
doing?
Z is not really into nightlife. I think everyone's on their phones. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. Yeah. And I think people don't go out the way that they used to. And I think in my 20s, I went out all the time.
All
I was
the
living in New York
time.
City. I was
Yeah.
out
Oh God.
all the time.
Yep.
It was
Sure.
so rare to stay home
Right.
and watch TV or something. Of course, I didn't have a phone at that time, but
It's funny you bring that up because just this morning I talked to Catherine about this. I walked over to the local Publix grocery store to get Catherine some avocados. She needed some avocados, so I went over there to get them. And on the way there and on the way back, 3 different young people were walking on the wrong side of the sidewalk, staring at their phones, and I literally had to get out of their way or they would have run right into me. That's dangerous. Do they know how dangerous that is to not be aware of your surroundings?
No, they don't.
you're addicted to your phone. It's
Oh.
bad.
Sure.
Like when I'm walking, sometimes I'm looking at my phone, but I also see things in my periphery. For
Right.
some people, it's like they look at their phone
Can't see
and they
anything.
lose their peripheral vision. It's the weirdest thing.
It is.
Well, yeah, just today there was a very small person. I don't know what she was. She was
A small person.
very she was very short, very very short, but she was a full grown human being. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on
She's
here. But
petite.
she's tiny, and she was on her phone, and you know how they sometimes when they're staring at their phone and they're wandering on the
Yeah.
sidewalk, they're kind of going all over the place, and you're like, I don't want to run into her, and I don't want her to run into me. And if
And you can
call,
say, excuse me, and they don't hear you.
they don't
Right.
even hear you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
very
weird.
true.
Weird stuff.
By coincidence, 3 times I just talked to Catherine about this about an hour and a half ago. I had to step out of the way of 3 young people because they did not know I was even there.
Yep. They don't even know.
It's really weird.
Mm.
I-
People have been hit by cars because they've been looking at
Yeah.
their phone.
That's very, very true.
Yep.
I don't know why they want to do that. I don't think it's very wise, but that's just me. You know,
I don't know. So Gen Z is probably on their phone more than X.
Absolutely,
right?
by a lot.
I
yes.
mean, not X, but I mean you,
Millennials. Yes.
Mhm.
We went to the park with Ethan, and there were 3 girls. They were probably 14-ish. They were all sitting side by side on a bench, silently on their phones. They were like, are they talking to each other in text, or are they just like in their own little worlds, but they're next to each other?
They'll text each other. And I think too, what's interesting is you're starting to see a lot of schools like tucking the phones away now in yonder pouches, their locks for the day. And teachers are saying, if you listen to any reports from teachers, they're saying the first week of having that happen, it's crazy because the kids will like have to pick up their phone because they have it in their possession, but it's locked away.
Mhm.
But they constantly like they feel the need to check it. It's like this weird habit that they created. And they say once they get past that, things actually improve in the classroom. But it's the constant like I need to check what's happening on my phone.
Yep. It's almost like smoking. They just need something to they've got to put that cigarette in their mouth, even if they're not even really taking a drag. They just do it.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's because that's their internet, that's their form of communication, that's their checking on emails, that's
How many
everything.
likes they're getting,
Mhm. Literally,
they don't even do emails.
No.
They do social media.
No.
Right.
They don't do emails.
Look, I remember when I was a very little kid, my dad would come home from work. He worked in a printing press, and he would come home and turn the ringer off the phone. There was no pictures on the phone. It was just a telephone, but he didn't want to hear it.
Huh.
So he turned the ringer off.
Don't bother me.
It didn't bother him at all to not be around a phone. He just didn't want to be around phones. And now I understand why, because look what it's come to. It's pretty crazy.
Steve Jobs basically made us all addicted.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Steve,
true.
and he's dead now, isn't he?
He's no longer with us. Pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, he
He's been
died a few
gone,
years ago.
Yeah, a long time
He
ago.
died in 2011.
Yeah.
Or the show
Did he really that long ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was on our first podcast. I do remember.
Steve Jobs was?
Steve Jobs was, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many years ago that
The
is.
first podcast.
Or maybe, that might have been, actually, it might have been at the radio station, not on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think
it must have been at the radio
I think
station.
I would have remembered Steve
The
Jobs.
podcast
He's
didn't
pretty
exist
big.
in 2011, so there's that.
He was pretty big. He was a very nice guy. God, I was trying to remember who his best friend was because it was kind of weird. He had a very famous best friend, but I can't remember who it was. It was, I don't know, somebody like Pee Wee Herman or something. It wasn't Pee Wee Herman, but it was somebody like that. And they were
Someone like
really
Paul
good
Rubens.
friends. Yeah, Paul Rubens. I love Paul Rubens. Whacking it in the theater wasn't a good idea. But other than that,
Larry Ellison.
Might have been
Larry
Larry
Ellison and
Ellison.
Steve Wozniak are apparently his only 2 friends that he ever had in his life.
That's probably true.
Oh,
But he was on
Larry Ellison's fighting for his life trying to get his Paramount Skydance merger done.
Oh, is he?
Oh, that's a mess. That is a mess.
Why?
Because
What's
that
going on?
involves 60 Minutes, Donald Trump, the
Oh,
FCC, Skydance, and Paramount.
I
And
think
they're dragging Taylor Sheridan into it all too, because they're worried that he's
yeah.
going to his deal is only until 2028. And there's concerns that he'll bolt for another streaming network because of some of this mess.
Larry Ellison has 3 times as many wives as children.
Well, there you go.
He's been married 6 times, but he only has 2 kids.
Is that the fast facts about Larry Ellison?
I just thought that was interesting. I saw 2 children, then I saw his list of spouses, and I was like, let me scroll through this for a while.
It's so weird to me. And so I've been married once. I've been with the same woman for 45 years. We've been
Wow.
married for about 40 of those.
You're not worth $194 billion.
Well, that's
Yeah,
true.
he would've-
It's very
I can
good.
get
Jeff
like
would've dumped me.
2 marriages, but like and let's just say like if both of them wound up in divorce, let's just say that.
Give it
Like
up
Yeah.
at that
What?
point.
I think you're done.
Who's the guy? Kevin Leary, right?
Kevin Leary, yeah.
He's the one that's on
Shark
Shark
Tank.
Tank. He has been on all kinds of stuff saying all these people, they need to stop getting divorced.
Yeah.
they
Marry
sure do.
somebody and stay committed. You're losing all your wealth. You're losing your connections to your children. and your grandchildren. And he's running around
true.
preaching to stay married.
Well, the
once.
thing about people like Larry Ellison is he became CEO of Oracle in 1977.
Mhm.
His second marriage was in 1977.
Uh-oh.
So, I mean, you got your first marriage. It ends in divorce. Sure, things happen.
Mhm.
But then you're the CEO of a giant corporation. How do you know they're with you because they love you ever again after that? Like, how could you trust anyone to not?
Let's go into the differences between Larry Ellison and his wives as they go on. I'd like to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Very true. No, I remember having a conversation with you many, many, many years ago, Tom, about, when you were like really kicking it in Minnesota and everybody wanted a piece of you.
Mhm.
I remember saying, do you even have any real friends? I mean, are these people real? I mean, would they,
Yeah, that's the thing. is
dump
don't-
you and
never
run
know.
away the second? You said, it doesn't matter to me
It's not in that
because what
business.
can I do?
Yeah, exactly. What are you going
What
to do
about,
it?
what can I do about it? How do I determine if somebody's a real friend or not? Because
Yeah.
they're all acting like my friends.
A lot of my friends are dead. Andy Fisher's dead, and a number of my friends are dead. But I literally right now, as far as a good friend, no, there are good acquaintances and friends that I have that I really like. But as far as my best friend, he's the only one I ever hear from. Kendall's the only guy I ever hear from, unless somebody wants something, and then I get calls from them.
Yeah, I was going to say, in your hardest, darkest times who your friends are. And oftentimes, the people you expect to show up for you are
Mhm.
not the people who do. It's sometimes someone very random, and you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay. And they
Mhm.
become a closer friend because they showed up during that hard time.
And then, and when you've got a few $1 billion, I'm sure nobody's real.
Right. And I also wonder when you're like the billionaire and your friends, let's just say they're millionaires or maybe they're thousandaires, and you're all going out to dinner. You're always expected to like pick up the tab. Are people treating you like that's the other thing? Like, do you get those like little moments of like, I got our dinner?
That's one of those
Right.
things I'd like to do in my life is go to dinner with a billionaire and be like, I got the tab. Don't worry.
I got it. Don't worry about it.
I mean, we're going to Chili's, but we're not,
Yes. Well, two things, and these are both true. The best man in our wedding 40 years ago, I won't say what his name is, not important. He married a woman who was very political. And I won't say which way she went. She was
But she's from
very
Minnesota,
political.
so
She's
you
from
know.
Minnesota, so you kind of know anyway.
So you know what
Catherine gives it away.
I haven't now spoken to him in 25 years. He was
I
the
think
best
that's
man at our
typical.
wedding.
But I think that's
Is it
typical.
really?
Oh, I
That's
think
weird.
I'm actually glad I didn't have like the stereotypical wedding because I'm like, I feel like your friendships, especially if you get married in your 20s, your friendships
Mhm.
change and evolve.
They
People
sure
move
do.
away.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
can
true.
look at like my best friend's wedding, who is still my best friend, by the way. We've been best friends since we were 8, and I was in her wedding. But I look at her wedding party, it's not the same. Like the friendships of like who was there aren't the same people here in 2025. She and I are the same. And some of her relatives were in the wedding party the same, but some of the people we grew up with.
Yeah. Well, and the timing of this is interesting because the second point I was going to bring up, and I just happened that I told her this like 2 days ago, might have even been yesterday, but I think it was 2 days ago, that I didn't realize that I could, but I actually love Catherine now more than I ever have.
Aw.
Well, it's true. I'm not throwing it out there just to be a pain in the ass. I've always loved you dearly. You're a great wife and a really nice person. We have great kids on. But every year I'm with you, I love you more than I did the year before, which I didn't think I could do. And that's not some phony bullshit, podcast. Listen to me, but I make stuff up. It's true. Well, you know how that is. It's just some people, I adore this person. Then you get divorced about 10 minutes later. But yeah, both of those things. I love my family dearly, all of my family, the grandkids right now. The fact that Andy's son probably still to this day says, why don't we get in the car and go to Florida?
Because he knows the living's good there.
I love that.
He knows that Nana and Bop are there, I think, is what it really is.
Yeah, that's what it is. We're going home tomorrow for a few days, and then we're going back on, we'll be back on June 1st, I think, for the rest of the summer. We're really looking forward to that because we see the grandkids, and I never did understand that, how people didn't pay attention to their own children and really didn't pay attention to their grandchildren.
I've seen that over and over.
Me too.
People that
I don't
get
get
divorced and then they have nothing to do with their first kids. They just don't
Yep.
even talk to them. It's
Some
so
people just shouldn't have
tragic.
been parents to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they were just, well, I mean, my grandfathers, Jesus, what a couple of assholes those two guys were. Oh, God. We should take a break. As a matter of fact, I got to get away from the mic for a second or I'll say stuff I'm not supposed to say.
Don't do it.
I understand. I understand that. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes right after this. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom for Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is the place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care focused facility that has a full nursing team, always staffed within the building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire of Medina is now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally, and they are a family-owned local company conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They're the best staff memory care facility in the state. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of a memory care facility, please get in touch with my friends at Wellshire. Set up a tour or learn more at wellshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Catherine, during the break, I was talking about childhood friendships. By the way.
Right.
Because Catherine goes, boy, I'm sure the Bilski and Michael Bryant and the guys at Wellshire and all these people are going to really appreciate.
I have no friends, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about, well, one of the reasons I don't talk to a lot of my friends from early life is they're dead. Many of them are dead. There's Tommy O'Brien and Terry Burnham and a couple other guys, and that is it for the people that are still around from my childhood days. Benny Cruchon's been dead for 8 billion. I mean, it's those guys from North Minneapolis particularly did not live very long lives. They just didn't. So yes, I have many friends now, but I was talking about old friends. Like I've known Kendall for 30 some years. That's the difference.
This story about Belichick is the gift that keeps on giving.
Were you just looking at the statement too? I just was looking at the statement on the break. And it's an email in like blue, bold font, but it's really, really tiny. And I was like, let me put on my glasses and look at it.
Apparently they had to cut 30 minutes from it, and Jordan Hudson stormed out in the middle of it and expected Bill to follow her.
What?
Yeah.
Who's Jordan Hudson?
That's his baby girlfriend.
Oh, I see.
So no, what was she doing?
She stormed. She was the one that said during the interview that they weren't going to talk about how they met.
Oh yeah.
Which of course
right. Yeah, you talked
brought
about it
on
yesterday.
a whole slew of she must have been a call girl or something like that. And then
Yeah, and now there is an official statement out by Bill Belichick. How do you say his name? Belichick. Yeah, whatever. So it's an email, and it's like tiny, like 9 fonts. Like it's bold though, and it's blue. And he's just basically saying, this is what I expected from the media. We went through how important it was for me to put I effed up in the book. And of course, that is the feature of the article. It's just, he goes on and on and on, not talking about the situation with Jordan. And people are just like, well, how did you meet? Did you meet on a plane or not? Because that's what you put out there. And now you're saying you don't want to talk about it. And now people are speculating like we did yesterday in different ways. But Jordan says, because this is on her particular Instagram account, says, full statement to be released later today, in addition to the email they put out.
Right.
But
Well, Barstool Sports comments are pretty scathing about this whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, starting to worry that Belichick is a victim of girlfriend abuse.
Ooh.
If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it's a hooker.
how about people on her? People
That's
are commenting
cold.
mean things on her account, saying, "Please don't ruin this man's legacy. Take a time to step back, stay behind the scenes, please. Word advice from a much older person: stay out of his affairs."
Yep.
There you have it. God, that whole thing. First of all, wouldn't you, if you were 73 years old, wouldn't you think about it? It's like, why would a 25-year-old want to go out with me? That's ridiculous.
Well, some of them just don't care. They just
I
want
guess
that.
maybe
They
they
just
don't,
want that
yeah.
trophy girlfriend on their shoulder.
And by the way, thank you so much, Catherine, because now I got 8 billion other names popping in my head. I was just talking about my childhood friends, not all my friends. You know, I got Josh Arnold. I can go down the list of all the people that I'm friends with now. But I was talking about my
Well,
childhood.
if I was your
friends.
friend and I was listening to the podcast, I'd be like, "What about me?
Well, what about me?
What
Didn't
about
mention
me?
me.
I'm sitting around you."
You know,
You're
I
going to
got
get a lot of
Lou
phone
Nanny,
calls today, Tom.
The Siegel family. I still love them dearly, even though one of the Siegels won't call me back anymore, which pisses me off to no end.
Wow.
He became a woman, and since he became a woman, he won't call me back. Or she now.
Transgender woman. Let's get the
Transgender
A
woman.
lot of times, people that transition just break away from their old life.
True.
But
Yeah.
he showed me the picture before he transformed, or what is it?
Transition.
Transition.
Transformed.
He showed me a picture of him dressed up like a woman, and I went, "Yeah, so what?" He thought I'd be all pissed off about it. I was like, "I don't care what you
That's
do."
kind of like, I think, coming out. All of a sudden, your focus is on something else.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Not your
Cliffy,
whole
I
Well,
still
I
love-
think if you look at Caitlyn Jenner, her relationships did change even
Sure.
within her family. And I think, I
That's
think
just-
Yeah, it
Caitlyn's
does
still in
happen.
touch with Kendall and Kylie, her children. But I think, the rest of the Kardashians who were very close to Caitlyn have very different relationships than what they do now because they side with Kris Jenner, of course, because that was hard for everyone.
Before we move on, I have to mention Bo Siegel too, because I adore Bo Siegel, and he's the youngest of their brother died.
What?
Their middle brother died.
Really?
Really sad, very, very young. But no, I want to be clear to all my friends. I was talking about my early, like 1st through 8th
That's
grade
okay.
friends.
Everybody's
Tom
got
is going to be
Calm
writing big
down.
missives today
Yeah,
on
I really
his Twitter
am.
account, and he's going to be like,
Apologies.
What about me? How come
you're
you
going to
don't
be
like
writing
me?
in blue
Glenn
font,
Mason,
like
I
9,
love Glenn Mason.
size 9.
I know. I've met many,
Bold
many
blue.
people.
And then Catherine's going to put it on her Instagram account and be like, "This is from Tom." A full statement will come later about his friendships.
You know what's really funny about that? Thinking about that now, though, when my show blew up, became the biggest show in America, it was mostly the grade school girls that I knew that called and reached out and wanted to have lunch and stuff. I thought it was very, very nice of them.
They want something. Come on, Tom.
They didn't want it. Ellen
Yes,
Burnick is
they
one of my
did.
favorite people in the
They
world.
wanted to at least say, "Oh, I know him."
Mary
I know
Claire
him.
is Ellen
I had
Burnick.
lunch with them.
Very
Let's
nice
take a
people.
photo.
I was either
All
treated
right.
like garbage married to you because you were, famous in Minnesota, or I had people saying, "Oh, remember what, they'd come out of the woodwork on my Facebook page. Remember when you spent the week at our cabin?" I'm like, "Who are you again?"
Well,
Remember we were best friends in 7th grade. I'm like, "Who are you again?"
you do get a lot of that. That's
I mean,
true.
yeah, they were, I think, trying to get to you through me. And I'm like, I had
It's a
nothing to do
weird
with that.
setup.
Yeah.
Oh
it
my
is.
God, it's after 12 o'clock. We got to get you cooking, sister. I didn't even realize it. We're just busy talking about life and how it comes together and how it falls apart and then maybe comes together again. I'm hoping anyway.
That is life.
I'm going to be spending the rest of this week explaining it. And I didn't
You
mean
don't.
all my
All
friends.
right,
I just-
stop obsessing. It's
well,
okay.
it's true. Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. So that's going to do it for you today. You're just taking off on us for no reason.
You got Chris coming in. He's got to have the
Yep.
stage.
Yep.
Exactly.
He'll have
He's got to
all
tell
of
you about tornadoes.
the tornado. Yes,
Oh,
he will talk
yeah.
about tornadoes.
It's
And we'll
true.
talk to you tomorrow.
See y'all tomorrow.
Well,
Bye.
you won't.
What? Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
that's
I
right.
will.
No, you won't.
No, neither of you
No.
are going to be on tomorrow, remember?
We're flying away tomorrow.
Oh, I thought I was doing the
Are
show.
we
and then
on?
we're flying.
No.
It's going to
we
be
could
just
not get
Alex
it
and
done.
me, unless Alex has to cancel. And then at that point, I don't
It'll
think
be you and me.
much of a show. So
Oh, Andy and Kristen. That's a good show.
We can do it.
You can
Talk
do
about all
it.
the celebrities that I can name.
We're going back to
No,
Minnesota.
I've got something for tomorrow. If it's only just you and I, we're
All
good.
right,
Perfect.
then.
Ooh, I like that. Well, once you have Bill on too.
Well, can come in.
Oh yeah,
You get
there you go.
There you now you're talking. He's damn good. Like I said, we're going to get rid of Kristen and bring him on.
I
Then
know.
everybody
I'm
voted
slowly
against
being
me.
pushed out. I'm watching it happen in real time.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. All right, we will talk to you Thursday then.
Bye.
Oh no, I will be on Thursday.
Oh no, you're not going to be on Thursday.
Well,
You'll
Thursday
be
and
on
Friday. I
Thursday.
have to be on set, so
I think
I'll see you guys.
Oh, so you're not going to be on Friday either.
Yeah,
Thursday
I
or
think
Friday. Yeah.
I think I'm gone the rest of
You
the
know.
week because I've got.
And you're gone the rest of the week.
Well, I've got
So Andy,
Yeah.
you and
grandmother
me.
duties.
It's gonna be fine.
It'll
I
be fine.
guess
we'll work
so.
it out.
Everybody's fine.
We'll work it out. That's not going to be a problem.
It's all good.
All right,
You just call
we'll,
Bill.
we'll see you in May then.
Yes, absolutely. I'll see you
Yeah.
on Monday.
Yeah.
I'll see you on Monday.
Well, there you go.
And about Andy,
See? Right there. By the way, I just got a message from Carl Franklin, a friend of mine. Carl is 102 years old.
Don't forget
Don't
Carl.
forget me. Yes, Carl. All right, we'll be right back in a couple minutes right after this. Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Brian Thiel, president of Abrasives of St. Paul.
What I like best about North American Banking Company is the small town feel with great products and very good service. And I love the people. I would definitely recommend North American to other business owners. A lot of banks I could choose from, and North American Banking Company is the one.
So why not bank where I banked with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to nabanco.com to learn more. That's nabanco.com or stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. For Brad John Bryant, Michael Bryant. Michael, what's up?
Dealing with another case where a person gave a statement to the adjuster because they thought the person was really friendly.
Is that a good idea?
Well, the problem is they know the law when they call you up. And while you're trying to be fair and you're trying to get help, the reality is there are questions you get asked that the way you answer them make a big difference. And people put themselves in trouble. And when they aren't in trouble, they didn't do anything wrong, but suddenly the adjuster's got a statement that can blow up their case completely.
What has caused people to be so untrustworthy, I guess is the best way I could put it? They take advantage.
Well, insurance companies have hired adjusters whose job it is to deal with unrepresented people. So they're supposed to kind of lure them in, call them every day, see how they're doing. And people are like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Where the reality is they've kind of adjusted to their problem that they've got going on. So it's not that they're completely better, but the way they say it gets to be a problem. And that's why having somebody who can explain your rights, represent you, make sure that you understand the law before you give a statement can make a big difference in your case.
Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant.
I said, sisters, if you only knew, you would wish you were in my shoes. Keep on using me.
Hello.
Until you use me up. I was waiting for her to say until you use me up.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Arnold bringing you more of the Tom Bernard Show and the family. Chris Eggert now joins us.
Hello.
I've known Chris for years, and he was not another one of the people I say the only one that I don't talk to is blah, blah. I made a big mistake.
Oh my God, get over it.
My watch is lighting up. Oh, thanks, Tom. Thanks. I'm Jesus. I was talking about.
Tom, I'm glad. I don't know what you meant for sure, but one of my new favorite sayings is I don't have any openings for friends right now. I'm not looking for new friends.
There you
I
go.
barely have enough time to be with the friends who I already have in our life.
See, I understand that.
Shut it down. Shut
That's
it
the
down.
way it goes.
Yeah.
That's just the way it
Who
works.
needs
No
friends?
question. Well, I mean, part of the situation is, like I'll give you an example. I haven't seen JB in a long time. He was on the show for quite some time.
Yeah, we need to get him on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't talked to JB in a couple of years, I think it's been. And I don't know why. It just things, you get to a lot of time.
Life happens.
Yeah, life happens. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So I don't think any of my friends, walked away on me, but there are some I haven't seen in years because your lives don't blend
Just
anymore.
happens. Yeah.
It's true. Well, Chris, I got to know you, and then I hadn't seen you for several years, and then now we're working together. So that's
Yep.
a pretty good example of that.
It's very true. Very true.
So, we got to hear tornado news from you first before you do
Minnesota
anything else.
news. What's
Well,
going
let
on?
me tell you something. It's been a doozy of 24 hours because I'm going to take you inside this whole storm thing that happened here
Perfect.
because there's been a lot of people who are understandably frustrated that the storms didn't hit the Twin Cities when it was I know it's insane, but
You
that's
should be happy.
of course they should. You're
Good
absolutely
news, I would
right,
think.
Catherine. You're absolutely right.
No, Melissa's like that. She loves storms.
She does.
No, I
Yeah.
don't.
The world we live in is as such. If there's a big storm outbreak that's predicted and it doesn't hit where it's predicted to hit, then everybody is critical of the weather people.
Has
when
anybody lived through a storm warning before? That's just
The-
how they go.
And there's nothing that could be done about it other than the setup was there for a pretty high probability of tornadic activity, which hasn't set up.
Okay.
It has not set itself up that way around here for several years. So the National Weather Service first put out this guidance saying, listen, it looks like there's a pretty high risk for severe weather in the Twin Cities and parts of Minnesota. So we did what we did. And I say we, I mean our organization and every other one in the Twin Cities has got people prepared for the possibility that there are going to be some tornadoes.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to.
Right. You gotta,
So
yeah,
two
you
waves of
gotta-
the storm came through yesterday. The first one came through in the morning, which is kind of, a small thunderstorm, not at least for the metro, not that big a deal. And then the second wave came through in the afternoon, and as it moved across the Twin Cities, it just
Yeah, I saw that radar. Mm-hmm.
it split up and went around, and and a lot of the people who are critical of it are my own friends. I was sitting at happy hour last night, and they were bitching about, and
Oh, well.
and I get it because people, it's well, I thought we were gonna get thunderstorms and then we didn't, and wow, I thought they were gonna get 12 inches of snow and we didn't, and it's just kind of the nature of forecasting. All the pieces were there.
Right.
It plays out how it plays out. But so 2 confirmed tornadoes. One was kind of Faribault area, and then
Right.
another one was over in Eau Claire. I have not seen any damage reports from Eau Claire, but we did have a crew down in the Faribault area last night and again this morning, and somebody's farm got wiped out. The family who lived there is okay, but
Oh, good.
you just think about that and having slid it to the north 60 miles, and that thing
Mhm.
goes right. The tornado goes right through the Twin Cities, right? So
Right.
There it is. This part of the show brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Chris Eggert brought to you by Josh Arnold. So good. I mean, no, did anybody get hurt in Faribault?
no,
Good. Well, I'm
it
glad to hear
doesn't.
that.
It doesn't look like it. And the family who lost the farm, and we'll get a better sense of how many other damage reports might have come in, but that was kind of the main one. And the family on the farm were in the basement, as
Oh,
they should have
smart.
been.
Yep.
So, they
So
did the
basically
right
now,
thing, and their house.
Faribault's been hit by a tornado and the James gang, right?
Was
Isn't
that
where the James-
Faribault or was that Northfield?
Oh, that was Northfield. You're right.
Oh,
You're right. That was
Northfield.
Northfield.
That's
You're
right.
absolutely. I knew it was down there somewhere.
Same general vicinity, but
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
anybody that doesn't know by now that storm casting is, not an exact science.
Right.
I mean, give me a break. Look at with the hurricanes that hit Florida, they can't tell exactly where it's going to hit land
That's true.
or when it's going to speed up or when it's going to fall. I mean, they have a general idea. They know it's coming,
right.
but there's no way that you can predict what's going to happen exactly.
The tornado thing has evolved a lot over the years. They are much better at knowing at least kind of put a target on a map
Mhm.
of-
Sure.
and putting those warnings out 2 or 3 days prior to. I think because of that the warnings are coming out earlier, that it does. I mean, it's human nature. You sort of become complacent to those things when you start hearing more of the warnings.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't actually come to fruition the way it's always this way, but I think it's good that they've got the information out a couple days in advance so you can start thinking about it. But then on the other hand, I also get it where I think news organizations can have a tendency to overhype stuff, and
Absolutely.
you get
Well, I guess that's part of the criticism is because all the after school activities were canceled throughout the metropolitan area for basically no reason. I mean, when we were kids, when we went outside, sky was green.
Yeah.
It had that feeling. You just went in and then you
Yep.
waited for the sirens if something was going to happen. Now,
Yeah,
different
it's
world.
a tough one. Had the storm gone right through the metro, though, you
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
all those kids out on the baseball fields and the soccer diamonds or the soccer pitches, and
Yeah, not too long ago. I mean, North Minneapolis got hit pretty hard by
2011.
tornado. Yep.
Yeah.
So
But-
it does happen.
Hey, Catherine and Tom, because I think you guys were both watching this. I took up your recommendation last week on that the Bondsman show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good.
What do you
It's a
think?
good show, isn't it?
Definitely
It's
not what I
weird.
expected. Yeah, it's super weird, but I was into it.
Yeah, he does a great job.
He's good. He's very good.
He's very good at that role.
He
Again,
is.
Andy, have you watched it yet?
We don't watch TV almost at all anymore.
No.
Little children.
Yeah, we watch movies that are suitable for children.
A lot of Disney.
You'll
Yep.
come back around it someday when
Yep.
the kids
Yeah,
are
one
older.
Yep.
day we'll go back. We just watched The Sword and the Stone the other day
There you
Oh,
go.
Yeah.
from 1970, whatever it was, if not earlier. When was that?
That does seem old.
It was from 63.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Oh, yeah.
that's old.
We're still catching up on the
Well,
60s. We'll get there eventually.
It was 11, so it all works out in the end. But I've never seen The Sword and the Stone. Any good?
Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't?
No, I don't think
That's
so.
weird.
Yeah, you
I don't
think you
remember.
watched that when you were a kid.
Yeah, you would have thought that would have been something you would have seen in your childhood
hmm
eventually.
No, it was Marlon Brando. I was a big Marlon Brando fan. so
when
it
you
was-
were 10?
Oh God, yes. The Wild Run, movies like that. I love Marlon Brando. I thought he was a very cool guy.
Mm.
That tracks.
Yeah, it does track. You have some Marlon Brando.
What do you mean it tracks? What does that mean?
You got some Marlon Brando qualities. I'm
Yeah.
He's a bit more standoffish than me back in his
A little
day.
bit. Roar, roar, roar.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Puppies barking everywhere.
So, I guess there's a huge accident on 35W right now.
Really?
And yeah, I have been listening to this or following this Minneapolis Crime Watch
Mhm.
forever, and they listen to the police scanners and then they report what's going on. And apparently, as of May 1st, the city of Minneapolis has decided to encrypt all police calls because
Yeah.
they don't
Oh.
like Minneapolis Crime Watch at all
Oh, okay.
Yep.
because they just report it as it's happening, and they have video of this horrible car accident.
we
on
just
35W.
35W.
I've got some news off on the corner of my eye over here on the other side of the room, and I just saw it a minute ago too. So yeah, that whole encryption of the radios is a pretty big thing because that's the scanner traffic is how we find out about things that are happening and spot news stories and whatnot. And Crime Watch can take stuff straight off the scanner and put it right onto Twitter, and which is fine, and they've got a great niche with it, and I follow their accounts, and I think it's super interesting.
Mhm.
But they can do so without having to vet anything, which is we don't have that same freedom. So
No, But
But-
they do say, developing story.
yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
They're
for
they're
sure.
not. Yeah.
No, and that's not a knock on them, but what I'm saying is because of that, all access to the scanners is pretty much cut off. So
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff's happening. We're not finding out about it. So
I think that is something that they shouldn't have the power to do. I mean, that's basically free speech, isn't it? Isn't it covered by something?
Somebody's robbing your cabinet.
yeah, I was trying to turn the camera.
Left the door open. I like that. They left the cabinet door
Oh,
open.
sure, it must be a teenager.
Might be a teenager.
Oh, now she came back and closed it. She closed it now. There
But
you
no,
go.
free speech wouldn't apply there.
Why not? It's
That's
out
like
there. It's
reverse
on.
free speech. It's not how free speech is about speech you say, not about speech you hear. You're not free to hear everyone's speech.
I don't
You're free
know.
to say what you want.
I just don't understand how they want journalists to not have access to what's going on. Right?
Well, I mean,
Don't
if
you
they
wanna know
want
when
the
there's a big
journalists to
problem?
know, then they can tell the journalists, I guess, is the idea, rather than just
Oh,
have
so they can control the narrative. I like, that's really what it is.
I mean, that's kind of the way I see it too, Catherine.
Sounds like
I'm not.
Minneapolis.
I'm not right. I don't think Ramsey County's doing the same thing.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
I'm honestly
Yeah.
surprised it took them this long to encrypt that sort of thing. You'd think it's like pretty much all communications. You buy a walkie-talkie made for children, it's going to be somewhat encrypted.
Hmm.
But like, I don't know. I'm sure there's some reason they haven't done it. Maybe it
But
increases.
this is the public
delay.
police. The taxpayers pay for the police, and the police calls are part of the taxpayer system. You know what I'm saying? It just feels
One other thing about not
bad.
having them encrypted is it makes them a lot more vulnerable to attacks. You could jam them very, very easily. Jam the frequency, police are now useless. But if they're encrypted, you can't jam them so easily.
Right.
So there is
Oh.
that.
That's a good counterpoint. I
Yeah.
guess I tend to look at it a little bit more like Catherine looks at it, that they're trying to silence.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big, I'm sure the number one reason, but
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if there's lawsuits involved in that. I don't know if we've got those meetings, if they're happening, are what do they say? Not
clandestine.
In my, well,
Hmm.
not in my salary range. I'll put it that way.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's very interesting what's going on, but that's too bad.
Don't disagree.
Maybe they'll have a sympathetic cop that'll tell them what's going on, or let them listen to their encrypted.
Figure
Radio,
out that's
I don't
the
know.
deal.
I don't know.
I don't get it either. So, and what else is happening in the news this morning? Anything big we should know about?
Well, there's a little bit of a controversy at the conclave, which hasn't even started yet, because one of the guys who was supposed to be one of the top prospects to become the next pope is apparently having some financial difficulties, and
Oh God!
he decided to step down. And I'm like, how do you have financial? Didn't they take a vow of
Poverty.
About poverty. Yeah.
poverty, right? I'm like, what kind of financial difficulties are you?
How? Well, where would the financial difficulty? Because you
Well,
don't pay for your house, you don't pay for your clothes, you don't pay for anything.
oh, who are we
How can
talking
you-
about specifically?
the Pope,
I don't
the
know
new
what the
Pope.
guy's name is. One of the cardinals who was
Election.
going to be in the conversation for Pope. So we had the name this morning, and I don't want to mispronounce it. I don't have it in front of me right now. So
I
How
don't
many
know.
people are up for Pope? Do you know?
It's a lot. It's like
Well, they-
8 or 9, I think.
8 or 9.
they can't. Anybody over 80, any of the cardinals over 80 are automatically out, I believe, for consideration.
Oh yeah,
Um,
right. Yep.
And did you guys all watch The Conclave? I mean, clearly because of that
No.
movie coming out, it's really good. It's super
Is
good.
it? Huh.
Yes.
Huh.
You wouldn't think, you'd think it'd be boring as hell. I loved it. I thought it was a really good movie
Really?
Okay.
and good homework for right now, because I think because that movie was so popular, there's a lot more interest in this particular conclave because everybody thinks they know a little bit more about it. I don't know. I thought it was fascinating.
No, I
Okay.
grew up Roman Catholic. I was baptized at birth and went to Catholic school for 9 years or whatever it was. Is it the black smoke said there is a pope and the white smoke says there isn't? Is that
Other
how
way
it?
around.
Oh, it's the white.
That's
If
the other way around.
So the black smoke comes out, they haven't picked a guy yet. But when the white smoke comes out, they've picked a guy.
You can remember it because the Pope wears white.
Oh, that's
Ah.
true. I suppose.
go.
And there are no
Tip.
women up for pope. You can't be a pope if you're a woman.
Can't
yet.
be a priest if you're a woman.
No. You can be,
Oh,
a,
that's right. You can't
Catholic
be, even be a
Church.
priest. in
Nope.
you can
Catholic
be a
Church.
nun.
You can be a nun. That's
And that-
exactly
I
right.
there
think
is like a Pope of nuns, technically, right? Mother Superior, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
so.
there is, they have that going.
There's a hierarchy that is very ancient and
Yes,
very
they have-
outdated, and I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to ever change.
The
But
Catholic Church is very hierarchical, and it's very complex.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you're a longtime listener, I know you're hearing me say "find to the Pope into the pizza" because I think of it every time I hear the word Pope. I do. It's
I
true.
think you dropped Father Guido Sarducci last week too, but I'm here for it. I love it.
Every time I hear the word Pope, I think of that Father Guido Sarducci. But a nice Catholic boy. I get to do that.
Well,
Great skit.
Yep, it was a great.
at one time, the Catholic Church in Rome was one of the richest organizations
Yeah. Yep.
on the planet. I
Yeah,
don't
for
think
a
that
very
is
long time.
true anymore. But you think about, the vows of poverty and how the nuns live in, basically a dormitory, and
Mhm.
Well, they do that because of a faith thing. It's not like they can't take money. You become a nun because you want to live that way. It's voluntary.
I don't think there's a lot of money in it at all for nuns, and I don't think that they can take money without sharing it with.
Oh yeah,
the
that's what I'm
diocese.
saying though. It's not
Yeah.
like they're like, oh, the poor nuns don't have enough money to go around. It's like they don't
No.
want money.
No, I'm just saying that the
Yeah.
way that the lay people that do all the work live, and then you've got Rome.
Yeah, it's
Pretty snazzy.
and that wasn't that why Martin Luther did what he did and broke away from the
Yeah.
church, and because
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
like the lavishness of some parts of the Catholic Church, and
Well,
I mean,
there were
that's-
95 reasons technically.
95.
Yeah, the 95 theses.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
You were paying attention in theology class.
Yeah, Andy was paying
Melissa
attention.
and I was baptized Catholic. Melissa's Protestant, so we have conversations about that whole thing. She still can't get over the saints.
Why?
Venerating the saints. It's not something Protestants do.
Well, and the Pope himself is somebody who that's a big sticking point because of the
Yep.
way
The Pope
he's
is a big-
treated as a higher. I don't know what the right word is. He's treated almost like a saint. That level of
Oh, really?
borderline, yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah, when other people were murdered for their beliefs. Yeah.
But then,
Yeah,
different.
exactly.
based on what Melissa told me at the time of Martin Luther, the big sticking point then was in Catholicism, lay people were not allowed to read the Bible.
Right.
Well, I didn't know
Priest
that.
had to read the Bible because only a priest could understand what he's reading.
Because it was in Latin.
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
it was in Latin.
So Martin
Yes.
Luther was like, everyone should be able to read the Bible, and the Catholic Church was like, no, go away.
Yep.
And so he
printed it.
started basically the Protestant movement because everyone was like, yeah, let's read this thing. Why not?
Isn't he the one that printed it in German or something? Didn't he
I
do that?
don't know that he actually printed it specifically.
I thought that was part of
Maybe.
the.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know that much about him because he's a heretic. So
yeah, there you go, heretic. I got lucky because, growing up going to Catholic school and all that stuff, I got to see all sides of the Catholic religion because when I was at St. Anne's, I think 7th grade, one of the priests left the priesthood and married one of the parishioners. That was very, very unusual, I guess.
Scandal.
Scandalous.
and it wasn't a young underage boy.
No, it was not an underage boy. That was the
No,
good part for
no.
them. Well, he's got a point. I mean,
I'm just saying that's a thing, right? So
no,
It is.
But I mean, I had a couple of friends. This was at St. Joe's, and maybe it happened in St. Anne's too. But I had a couple of friends that were borderline molested by nuns.
nuns.
I don't know if there's
Yeah.
borderline on that.
basically any job that works with children is going to have a much, much higher rate of that sort of person.
Yeah.
working there.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, look
true.
at since of social media, you're finding out all these women that are abusing kids in elementary school and these teachers. I mean,
it's actually very, very common.
yeah, daycare
People don't talk
situations.
about it.
It's
And explain
terrible.
that situation to me. Why would an adult be attracted to a child? How does that makes no sense to me at all? I don't get it.
I mean,
I having not been, I can't. speak to
Right.
that.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know what the hell you're even thinking.
A rhetorical question because I don't have the
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I don't know.
no clue.
I don't remember.
People's power thing, probably in some regards.
people's brains can break in pretty much any way.
Yeah, I suppose.
There's a
Most of the
famous
time-
delusion out there where people believe that they are dead.
What?
So they're like, yeah, I'm dead. I'm just walking around. I'm dead. I'm immortal. I won't
They
age anymore
believe they're
because I'm dead."
dead.
Like a specific kind of brain damage will make them think that they have stopped aging and they're a walking corpse.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh.
So
So, I
anything can
mean-
happen with the human brain.
And
I
there's
guess.
delusions out there where people think that every object that they interact with is sentient and animate. So it's like you pick up your phone is like a living thing that, is
They
your
think
friend.
that?
So, if those things can happen, it's not that far fetched that, something can go wrong with the whole attraction.
I guess.
Well, and I worked at a women's shelter for a little while, and the education that I got on that is most people are abusing others because they've been abused,
yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a big part of it, yes.
Yeah.
and it is a power situation. I mean, yeah. What do you think? You've got power over a little kid. Of course you do. It's just
Mm.
kind of It's not a healthy mental situation.
I was thinking about that, and that where I grew up, just off Plymouth Avenue, whether it was just south or just north of Plymouth Avenue, and then later up toward West Broadway and that whole area. I don't remember hearing one time, and maybe I just was never told. I didn't know of any adults that molested children or any this, that. None of that stuff went on in my neighborhood that I ever even knew about.
Well, it may have went on, but you
think
that it was hidden, it was shoved on, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you might.
Or
be
if
right
people
about
found
that.
out about it back in those days, there were serious consequences behind somebody's
That's true.
garage.
Yeah, you might have heard about him, but you didn't hear about him for much longer.
No.
The one interesting thing about that is a few of the fathers in my neighborhood, when they punished their children, they brought them in the middle of the street to do it.
Humiliated them.
They had to humiliate the kid.
That's a good way to turn people into
psychopaths.
Unhealthy people. Yep, that's
exactly.
not good. That is not good.
Chris, do you have to be out by 30?
Yeah, I do. I got to roll.
That's what I kind of thought. Got to take care of that because I'm very responsible with your job in mind.
Listen, I appreciate it. It's this has been a good conversation today. We covered a lot. We covered a lot of topics.
Sure did.
We sure did.
Find the Pope into the pizza. That's all I have to say. I'll keep thinking of that now all day because they brought up the Pope again.
Same.
It's true. All right, we'll talk to you later on.
Bye, you guys. Have a good week.
Chris Eggert, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, brought to you by Josh Arnold, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes, wrap things up. I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
What was that television show about the popes? Was it called Rome or?
Yeah, there was something called Rome. I know.
And
that.
I mean, I don't know if any of that was historically accurate or if that was all just written. But Rome was a dog-eat-dog world.
Oh God,
with
yes.
those popes
Mm-hmm.
for many.
For a long time,
decades.
it's
For a very
true.
long time, the Pope was the most powerful person, at least in the Western world.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not the world. So, I mean, yeah, if you could get elected to be Pope, there you go. You are now like the king of the world.
Yeah, and I don't remember who was even in it. It was a great series, but it showed that some popes actually had families and were married and just, kept it secret from everybody
didn't
else.
know
But
that.
everybody in the Vatican knew it, but that was okay because he was bringing in money, or it was just,
Oh,
I mean, seriously, it sounds a lot like the White House.
well, there you go. Andy, have you talked to Rev Tim?
No, I haven't heard from him.
Because I think Reverend Tim and
I thought they were coming on Friday.
they're coming in on Friday.
Kohler.
Yeah, Brad Kohler and Rev Tim. And by the way, obviously, I would extend the same invitation to Governor Tim Walz to come in and do the show as well, because I don't just cover one side of anything.
I don't think I could attend that
You don't think
interview.
you don't be there for that one?
I have a deep dislike for him.
Well, I mean, it does
the whole
happen.
Yeah, I just don't like him at all.
But I mean, if you're going to be honest and be on a show, you got to offer both sides. Well, first of all, I don't think Tim Walz would ever accept an invitation to be on my show anyway.
No.
I'm not his kind of guy, I don't think. But
No, you have to be a kiss ass.
Oh my God, Mom's going after the governor a little bit this morning.
No, not a fan.
How about, let's see, I'm trying to think of somebody from his party we could have in instead of him if he doesn't want to do it. Is there anybody? I don't know many politicians anymore. I used to know a lot of politicians, but I don't know very many anymore.
It's a clandestine group.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know Rev
sure is.
before
The DFL is.
Rev Tim was not in politics when I got to know him, so I might not know any politicians anymore. I mean, you got Tim Pawlenty and you got Norm Coleman and people like that, but I've known them for 25 years, so that's a different story.
Well, and the world was a lot different back then.
And it was.
You could actually have a conversation with everyone, and they would all talk.
So I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to figure that whole situation out. Matter of fact, I'll call Tim this afternoon to make sure that they're coming in because I will be in for Friday's show. I'm going to be in studio with you, Andy, for Thursday and Friday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're in.
But Nana's not.
Yep, I've got Grandparents' Day, which you'll join later, and we've got dance competitions and all kinds of stuff going on. Flag
We're gonna have to
football.
talk about that.
Yes, I have an actual schedule. I will
okay,
send it to you so we can make sure we have equal time with Ethan and Colin and you guys.
All right, someone texted in to correct us, or I guess more expound upon what we were talking about.
What's that?
So nuns take the oath of poverty, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are two kinds of priests. There's one kind who works in a monastery. They also take the oath of poverty.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But then there's the other kind, diocesan.
Okay.
Diocesan.
What a diocese is. They're a priest in a diocese. They do not take the oath of poverty. They get a salary, a house, a car, etc.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Those are the priests you see rolling around in the Ferraris.
You got a priest in a Ferrari.
No oath of poverty there.
It would be interesting to see, if a really wealthy area like Palm Beach. What does that priest make down there?
Oh yeah, think about that.
Well, they get a small salary. It's based on their parish, apparently, and that's
what the donations are. Probably. Do they get a portion of the donations?
No. They don't get a portion. The tithes go straight to the parish, and I think that goes straight to the Vatican. So it's all up the chain. But priests can get they get paid for other services.
Oh, yes, funerals, weddings.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
yeah, they do.
I mean, like all it would take is being the priest at some billionaire's wedding, give you $10 million because he can, and there you go. Now you're a very wealthy priest.
I suppose.
That's
So
true.
yeah, I'm sure there are millionaire priests out there. There's probably not many, but I'm sure they exist.
Andy, do you
hopefully
know?
they feel guilty about it.
Yeah. Do you know if they still have Catholic Mass at St. Anne's in North Minneapolis? Because I think they have some kind of Asian Mass or something at
Asian
St. Anne's.
Mass. Is it Korean, maybe?
Might be Korean. Might be
big into Mass.
Might be Vietnamese though too.
St. Anne's appears to be an apartment building.
26th Avenue
An
North.
emergency shelter, 26th Avenue North.
Mm-hmm. That's where it is. Right across the street from Andy Fisher's old house. That's what the good way to put it. Basically, it'd be at
323 26th Avenue, Minneapolis.
St. Anne's.
It's an apartment building now.
No, there's still a church there.
Well,
And it's not 323. It'd be more like, oh God, I don't know. It's
2323.
Oh, and so that would, well, maybe that would be it then. The
Yeah.
church that they turned the church into an apartment building.
I'm gonna look at it on Google Maps. Yep, that is an apartment building.
Honest to God. So
Yep.
20, you're looking at 26th and Russell, 26th and
Oh,
Queen.
wait. Oh, here we go. St. Anne St. Joseph Church is across the street from there. That is technically
Anne's?
on Queen Avenue.
Yeah, Queen Avenue. Yeah, that's what I said in the beginning. 26th and Queen
26th.
and 26th
No.
and Russell. But that's
no, it's a Hien church. What is Hien? Hien
Vietnamese.
is Vietnamese.
Yeah, it's
So
Vietnamese.
there you go. It's a Vietnamese church.
So it's not Catholic anymore?
I
Or they
don't
do
really
both?
know what Vietnamese
Well-
people believe in, but their website is not in English.
Mhm.
So
They don't have a-
nope, they have an English version.
Okay.
Well, because they had a nunnery and they had the school. I went to St.
They're a
Anne's school for 2
pastor,
years.
So I don't think they're not Catholic. Pastors aren't Catholic, right?
No.
So there
And
aren't
a
any Catholic
parochial
masses
vicar.
there anymore.
Nope, it looks like it's a Vietnamese church. Or
Well, what about the school? Is the school still open? St. Anne's School?
Doubt it.
Probably
Maybe it's a
not.
charter school now.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like it. No.
So great. The two schools I went to, Catholic school, St. Joe's has been torn down, and now St. Anne's is not even a school anymore.
Well, St. Anne's merged with St. Joe. It's called St. Anne's St. Joseph Church.
So I went to both. Yeah, exactly.
You went to
Vanilla
both
St.
once now.
Margaret's.
What are you gonna do? All right. Any closing words?
I guess.
Any fantastic Ethan stories? Did he do anything?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, yesterday he has school today. He has school on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yesterday he decides is a great day to be as clumsy as possible and just get covered in bruises.
Oh God.
So now he's going to school all banged up. Of course, I was sitting cross-legged on the couch, and he just runs up to me. He goes, "Daddy, and then he slips and slams his face right into my knee.
Oh God.
You used to be just like
You
that.
were like that, yep.
Usually was right before a growth spurt.
Well,
And
yeah, that would make sense. He hasn't had a real growth spurt in a long time.
yeah, I mean, I remember you. Well, that's why I put you in that little kinder care dance. I'm not.
I remember
kinder care,
that.
Whatever. What
It
I,
wasn't
in,
kindergarten, I was like maybe first, second grade.
it
I
was
was
called
pretty
Kinder
young.
Dance. It was called
Kinder
Kinder
Dance, that's right,
Yeah,
Kinder
that,
Dance.
that nice blonde woman ran that little Kinder
Mhm.
Dance, and I
Well,
put
Kinder
you
Dance
in
is
it
still going.
because I was very worried that you were going to kill yourself because you were.
I know
such
Ethan
a
is that.
clown.
Oh, I don't think I told you the story about. So we were watching the Lilo and Stitch TV series, which,
Mhm.
as you now know, exists because I'm sure you
Mhm.
did before. There's this one scene where one of the aliens escapes and gets into this woman's house, and she sees it and she passes out. You know the cartoon pass out where they just like fall backwards.
Mhm.
So we're watching this, and that happens. And 5 minutes later, I hear from the kitchen, "Daddy, look!" And then he just drops backwards on the hardwood floor,
Oh my
slams
god!
his head right into the floor. And we thought something was wrong with him because it's like, who does that?
Yeah, you thought he was having a seizure,
Yeah.
probably.
And then he runs over crying, and we're like, "What were you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, were you doing like in Lilo and Stitch?" And he goes, "Yeah." Like,
Jesus.
man, he can get hurt.
Yeah, it sounds
Maybe you
like
should
it.
put a little helmet on that kid. I don't know.
For real. I
There's a
don't,
plan.
I don't know if he's still functional.
All right, that is going to do it. We will not be on. Well, Andy, you going to be on tomorrow?
I talked to Alex. She said, barring a kid getting sick, she should be on.
Okay.
Kristen said she's got you covered.
Yeah, so it'll be Alex, myself, Kristen. We're going to try to get another person or two for the second half of the show.
There you go. It's a good idea. All right, we will be on with you in that studio on Thursday.
Okay,
I
we'll
will,
be back
not
Thursday.
Mom will, but I will.
Yep.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Got a picture in my noggin reminds me of this was before. Every time I hear the same reminds me how you talking